morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. So today is June 7th, 2022. Yesterday was June 6th, 2022, and you may have seen people talking about the 666 portal. I saw a comment, somebody was laughing at one of the posts because they didn't do the math and couldn't figure out where that last 6 came from. So if you are in that camp, it's just adding up the numbers 222 in 2022. So June 6th, 6th day of the year, 6th month of the year, 6th day of the month, and then adding up the 3 2s in the year. And that gives people 666. And if you want to play in that playground, it's considered a portal. It was considered a portal day. An opportunity to set intentions, to clarify, to purify. So I just want to acknowledge that. What I am excited about is that today, the 7th of June, starts the festival of Vestalia. So Vesta, for all of us who are, I'll throw out a couple of words, devotees of temple tending, anyone who feels called to the temples of the world, the temple of the body, the word temple, the idea and the concept and what temple means. Vesta in the Roman tradition was recognized as the keeper of the eternal flame. Actually, Vesta was the eternal flame, and her temple attendants kept the flame alive. So Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, the goddess of the altar. So those of us out there who feel an affinity for altar work, who feel an affinity for tending circles, for tending the temples of our homes, the temples of our businesses, religious temples, spiritual temples. This festival, which lasts from today until the 15th, was recognized and continues to be recognized, celebrated by some people as a time of recognizing that archetype, the one who is devoted to service. So this is a time of recognizing that archetype in our lives. And when I say the word purification, I am not advocating for severe practices. That is not my personal approach to purification. So if that's your approach, you do you. But I am offering it in the sense of, there are all sorts of ways of doing purification practices, but the idea is to make room, to make space. And we could say to make room and make space for something else, but I'm actually just going to leave it as to make room and to make space. When we're in service to the mystery, we don't know what's coming. We can prepare ourselves, which is what people in spiritual service do throughout all the traditions. It's about preparation. So if there are things that we know we are holding on to, if there are things that we know we have in our life, and things can be habits of mind, physical habits, things can be physical things, clothing, furniture, homes, cars, pencils that are worn down to the nub. I want you, have a broad perspective on this. I might be attracting ants again. But this is a time of allowing the things that can go to go and making space. And I'm just going to stop there, making space. Vesta. So I went looking to see what other, in what other cosmology, what other people's tradition Vesta had an equivalent, and I actually wasn't able to find very much. She is related to Hestia in the Greek tradition, but I wanted to be able to include some other traditions from Africa, especially, just to recognize those traditions as well. But I wasn't able to go back that far, so I'll keep researching that. But if you don't mind just hanging out with me in the Roman world for a while, I understand that a lot of Roman traditions were a collection of a lot of other people's traditions, but we're just going to hang out with the Romans for a while because they really dedicated themselves to the practice of this archetype. And Vesta was also known as the mother. And so an interesting thing about Vesta's story, and again, playground, allow yourself to be in the childlike, receptive, story-loving phase or part of yourself. So Vesta was the sibling, the sister to Jupiter, Ceres, Juno, Poseidon, and Pluto, Neptune and Pluto. So they collaborated and overthrew their father Saturn. So there's a connection, like all of this is connected. Saturn is currently in retrograde and will be in retrograde until October. And we spend a lot of time, if we're tuned into astrological conversations, we spend a lot of time talking about Saturn, and a lot of us spend a lot of time feeling ill at ease with Saturn. What I want to offer you as a perspective on Saturn is the quality of Saturn that is about devotion and dedication. So yes, there's all these quality, we have this language around Saturn that Saturn is the disciplinarian and boundaries and restriction and containment and hard, like the stuff that we don't want to deal with. But as you know, with me, language is so important. So we can have that understanding and that relationship with Saturn qualities. We can also take that word discipline and look at it in more of its root form, which is disciple. And a disciple is devoted to something, devoted to a cause, devoted to the service of something. That is what a disciple is. And everything that we do in discipleship to something is done with love. And anything that does not serve that discipline is let go. That is the sacrifice that we make. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful when we really consider and come into relationship with the language that we use about things. My hair wants to speak. So Saturn and discipleship and devotion, what are the things that need our attention in service to building the life that we want, in service to the vision that we have for a project or for a relationship that we have? First of all, what is the vision? What are we feeling called to? And then what container does that vision need in order to successfully build and develop? And then we put ourselves in service to the creation, to the support, to the building of that vision. And we become a disciple to that thing. So a person who's building a business, they become a disciple to that business. A person who is a healer of whatever your modalities are, when we study those modalities and then put them into practice and then develop the skill set so that we become very proficient and skillful and masterful We have become a disciple to that process. Someone who is becoming a master gardener, you are in discipleship to tending the garden and everything that comes with the garden. The plants, the soil, the insects, the ecosystem. Discipleship is a beautiful word. It is a beautiful word. And Saturn is that part of life that requires our devotion and our discipleship to something. Vesta was daughter to Saturn. Vesta was the eternal flame. So this is historical, what I'm about to tell you, and it is like, it still gives me chills. And from the very first time I heard this story, and if you've listened to me talk enough, you know how I feel about the Clash of the Titans, and I can't even remember the other stories in that. But the temple and the fire, the ritual, the ceremony has always spoken to me. And I don't know where that comes from. And I do. So, in Roman history, the Temple of Vesta is the longest running temple. I think that the year that the Temple of Vesta shut down was, like, I think it was 394 AD. 394, I think it was 394 rather than 349. But it was the longest running festival in the Roman culture, because it was the most beloved festival of the people, and it was the hardest one for them to let go of as Christianity moved in. So I'm thinking of acolytes. I was an acolyte in church, and one of our jobs, our duties, was to light the candles. And I wonder if that is coming out of the tradition of Vesta, the Vesta temples. So that flame in the temple, and this is what is significant. I apologize to those of you who need a linear conversation. I am not often able to do that, so I travel a lot in my own mind. But why I said that, so 1,000 years, about 1,000 years is how long this temple of Vesta was kept going. And what that meant was that there was a flame in the temple that was kept, that burned nonstop for about 1,000 years. And when the Temple of Vesta was closed, the flame, which was considered to be Vesta, the flame was Vesta. Vesta is also one of the only goddesses, or the only goddess in the Roman cosmology, I'm going to call it, who was not often portrayed in human form. She was the flame. So beautiful. So anyway, when Christianity finally removed the last of the pagan celebrations from the Roman culture, Vesta's flame was extinguished, and that was the end of the Vesta temples. What we do with Vesta as an archetype in this day is that we are tending the flame of something that is precious and dear to us, and we stay focused on it. So some of you who tune into these sort of metaphysical, esoteric channels, you are probably hearing more and more this language around food is focus, and what are we putting our attention to? Part of that is the times that we're in. We don't have to look anywhere in order to see all of the chaos that is happening in the world right now. And so there is a call for us to be clear about where we're putting our attention. And I'm going to leave that there. The flame, our inner flame, is where we are putting our attention in our life. And we can put our attention in multiple places. We just have to have the resources and the energy to support it, whatever it is we are putting our attention to. I just remembered that I've got my phone positioned in a way that I didn't want it positioned. So it's fine. Again, a lot happens in this brain all at once. So we have the Festival of Vesta happening this week through next Wednesday. We have Saturn going retrograde, and so when we have a retrograde period with an energy, we are being asked to re in all of the things that re means, or that re can lead us into. So reimagine, reevaluate, re-examine, renegotiate. We are looking over things that we have done up to this point, and we are making decisions about what we can continue to develop and what needs to stay, what needs to be left on the path as we walk away. So we will be in this process of redefining our devotion. What is it that we are devoted to? What is it that we have been giving our attention and our energy to building? And that's, again, habits of mind. It's what we want to experience in our society, in our culture, in our educational systems. What is it we've been giving our attention to? And is it a match for what we're wanting to create, what we say we want in our experience of life? With Vesta, if we wanted to take this deeper, we can make a recommitment as we're clearing out what is not serving us, what is not serving the world anymore. We can, oh my God. What? There's just the biggest iguana that just like ran across. I'm telling you, I freaking love living here. There is just so much happening all the time. He was big. Okay, so Vesta. Wow. I love non-human things. I love humans too, but I love non-human things. They're literally like seeing unicorns just wandering on my path. So Vesta is our dedication. What is the inner eternal flame that we are committed to, that we want to rekindle? Wow. And we can focus. We can make our rededications to the Vestal qualities within ourselves and the Vestal qualities in our life that we're wanting to develop at this time. I feel like there was a third event that I wanted to talk about, but I cannot remember what it was. I would turn this camera around and show you who I'm looking at right now, but it's in shadow, and my camera can't pick things up like that. But what fun! Like, he ran across, like almost like upright. Anyway, I love it. I have seen sharks down here. I have seen many manatees. I thought I'd have to drive up north to get close to the manatees. Dolphins, jellyfish, just beautiful things. And I think I'm probably going to have to close the video out because my mind is on that iguana. So, Vesta, the Festival of Vesta. You can go online. There's not a whole lot about her. So another thing about Vesta is she wasn't very dramatic. She was a very inward goddess, and she did not get involved in the drama of the world. I will say that her totem animal is the donkey, because the braying of the donkey saved her from one of, for some reason the Greek and Roman gods love to rape women and goddesses. And this donkey brayed right at the moment that one of the other minor gods was about to do ungodly things. So the donkey is recognized as her totem along with the flame. Those are the things that typically represent Vesta. Yeah, so you can go do some looking. You could also message me and I could share the information that I have about how you might set an altar to Vesta. And another thing that I'll share with you is if you are into reading your astrological chart, your natal chart, Vesta is one of the asteroid points, and if you find out where in your chart that point is, that will give you some information about what it is you are devoted to on some level. What it is you have or what it is you desire to keep a consistency with. And I feel like we really need to look at this word consistency and bring it into spirit, but not today. I'm going to enjoy this weather. So, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you letting me speak in the way that I speak. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a linear speaker, and I just am not. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. I will talk with you again soon.